I thought my mother's will was the worst betrayal, until I discovered what she hid from me for 7 years. I came back to town on a grey morning, the kind where the sky feels heavy, like it remembers things you are trying to forget. The road stretched in front of me, narrow and cracked, with weeds pushing through the broken asphalt. I had driven this road 1,000 times when I was younger. Back then, I thought I would leave and never return. Yet here I was, hands tight on the steering wheel, heart beating faster with every mile. 7 years had passed since I left. 7 years since I cut all ties. The town sign stood crooked at the entrance, paint faded and letters peeling. It still said welcome home, but it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a place that had rejected me first. I slowed down as I drove through the main street. The bakery was still there, though the windows looked dusty. The old cinema was closed, its posters torn and yellow. Nothing had really changed, and that somehow made everything hurt more. I wasn't here for my mother. I wasn't here for my brother. When I learned about the will, something inside me broke quietly. My mother had left everything to my younger brother: the house, the land, the savings. Everything. I wasn't even mentioned. Not a line. Not a goodbye. It was like I never existed. Like all the years I tried to be good, tried to help, tried to belong, meant nothing. That was the day I walked away. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I packed my bag and left town before sunset. I blocked numbers. I stopped writing. I told myself I was free. But freedom can feel a lot like loneliness when it comes from pain. Now, 7 years later, my car turned onto the dirt road leading to the old farm at the edge of town. My chest tightened. I hadn't planned on coming here. My feet just brought me without asking. This was where Sarah lived. The farm looked smaller than I remembered. The wooden fence leaned to one side, and the paint on the barn had almost disappeared. The wind moved through the dry grass, making a soft, sad sound. I parked the car and sat there for a moment, staring ahead, wondering why I hadn't just kept driving. Then I saw her. Sarah stood near the fence, one hand resting on the wood, the other holding a small bucket. She wore simple clothes, faded jeans, and a loose shirt. Her hair was tied back, a few strands falling around her face. She looked thinner, older, tired in a way that life creates, not time. She didn't notice me at first. I stepped out of the car, and the sound of the door closing made her turn. When her eyes met mine, she froze. The bucket slipped from her hand and hit the ground, but she didn't bend to pick it up. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The air felt thick, heavy. "You're back," she finally said, her voice low, almost unsure. I nodded slowly. "Yeah." That was all I could manage. One word. She took a step closer, then stopped, like she wasn't sure she was allowed to. Her eyes searched my face, as if trying to match the man in front of her with the boy she once knew. "I didn't think you'd ever come back," she said. "I didn't think I would either," I replied. The silence returned, but it wasn't empty. It was full of things we never said. Full of nights, promises, and endings that still didn't make sense. 7 years ago, Sarah and I were everything to each other. We had plans. Simple ones. We talked about leaving town together, about building a life far away from the noise of my family and the expectations that crushed me. She believed in me when no one else did. Or at least, I thought she did. Then everything fell apart. I looked around the farm, avoiding her eyes. "Looks the same," I said. She gave a small smile that didn't reach her eyes. Some things don't change. But we had. I remembered the last day I saw her back then. The way she stood on this same ground, asking me to stay. The way I turned away, too angry and hurt to listen. I had just learned about the will. About how my mother had already decided my brother was worth more than me. I felt betrayed, unwanted, erased. And Sarah, she was standing too close to that pain. "You stayed," I said quietly. She nodded. "This is my home." I wanted to ask why she never followed me. Why she never fought harder. But the words stayed stuck in my throat. Some questions are dangerous. Once you ask them, there's no going back. She looked at me carefully. "How have you been?" I almost laughed. Almost. "Fine," I said, because that's what people say when they don't want to explain their broken pieces. She seemed to understand. Her gaze dropped to the ground. I heard about your mother. I felt my jaw tighten. I'm sure you did. She flinched, like the words hit harder than I meant them to. I didn't mean, she started, then stopped. I exhaled slowly. I didn't want to fight. Not today. Not here. The wind picked up, carrying the smell of earth and old wood. I realized how much I had missed this place, even though it had caused me so much pain. I should go, I said, even though I didn't move. She hesitated. You don't have to. Our eyes met again, and in that moment I felt it. A strange pull. Not love. Not anger. Something unfinished. 7 years ago, I thought cutting ties would heal me. Standing there now, I realized some wounds don't close just because you walk away. And some stories don't end when you think they do. We walked along the fence without touching it, without touching each other. The wooden posts were old and cracked, just like the silence between us. Every step felt careful, like one wrong word could break something that was already fragile. Sarah spoke first. You still walk the same way, she said quietly. I glanced at her. What way? Like you're always ready to leave, she replied. Her words stayed with me. I wanted to deny it, but I couldn't. Leaving had become my habit. When things hurt, I disappeared. That's what I did 7 years ago. That's what I almost did now. She stopped near a broken post and leaned against it. I stayed standing, my hands in my pockets. The air smelled like dry grass and soil. Somewhere far away, a bird cried out, sharp and lonely. So, I said, you stayed here all this time? Yes, she answered. I worked the farm. Took care of things. With who? I asked, before I could stop myself. She looked up at me quickly, then away again. Alone. Something about the way she said it didn't sit right. It wasn't a lie exactly. It was more like a half-truth. I felt it in my chest, a quiet pressure. You could have left, I said. You always talked about seeing the world. She smiled, but it faded fast. Life doesn't always go the way we plan. I remembered those nights from the past. Sitting on the hood of my old car, looking at the stars, talking about places we would go together. She used to laugh more back then. That laugh was gone now, replaced by something softer, sadder. You left without saying goodbye, she said suddenly. I turned to face her. I didn't know how. That doesn't make it hurt less, she replied. Her voice wasn't angry. That somehow made it worse. I was drowning, I said. My mother, the will, my brother. I felt like I meant nothing to anyone. That's not true, she said quickly, then stopped herself. I waited. She pressed her lips together, shaking her head slightly. I'm sorry, she said. I shouldn't have said that. Why? I asked. Say it. She looked at me then, really looked at me, like she was trying to decide something. Her eyes were wet, but no tears fell. You don't know everything, she said. The words sent a chill through me. What don't I know? I asked. She turned away, staring out at the fields. The wind moved her hair across her face, but she didn't brush it away. There were things happening back then, she said slowly. Things I didn't understand myself. I felt a flash of anger. You could have talked to me. I wanted to, she replied. I tried. I shook my head. I never got anything. No calls. No letters. She swallowed hard. Because you were already gone. That's not an answer, I said. Silence returned, heavier this time. I could hear my own heartbeat, loud in my ears. I thought about the night I left town. How my mother stood in the doorway, cold and quiet. How my brother didn't even look at me. How Sarah stood near the fence, eyes full of tears, saying my name as I walked away. At the time, I thought she didn't fight hard enough to stop me. Now, I wasn't so sure. Did my mother ever talk to you? I asked suddenly. Sarah stiffened. That was all the answer I needed. She did, she said after a moment. More than once. My jaw tightened. About me? Yes. What did she say? I asked. Sarah hesitated, then spoke softly. That you were done with this place. With me. That you didn't want to be found. My hands curled into fists. That sounded exactly like something my mother would say. She always liked controlling the story. And you believed her? I asked. I didn't want to, Sarah said. But you never came back. I looked down at the dirt beneath my feet. Part of me wanted to shout. Another part wanted to sit down and breathe, because everything felt too close, too real. I thought cutting ties would fix me, I said quietly. I thought if I left everyone behind, the pain would stay here. And did it? She asked. I didn't answer right away. No, I finally said. It followed me. She nodded slowly, like she understood that better than I knew. We started walking again, slower now. The farmhouse came into view, small and worn but standing strong. The windows reflected the grey sky. You built a life here, I said. Yes, she replied. With someone? I asked, my voice low. She stopped walking. No, she said quickly. Too quickly. I studied her face. There it was again. That feeling. Something hidden just beneath the surface. You're lying, I said, not accusing, just stating it. She closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, they were shining with unshed tears. I didn't lie, she whispered. I just didn't tell you everything. My heart began to race. About what? She shook her head. Not yet. Why? I asked. Because if I tell you, she said, her voice breaking, everything will change. I stepped closer. It already has. She looked at me like she wanted to reach out, like she wanted to say something she'd been holding in for years. Then she turned toward the house. Come, she said. There's something you need to see. As we walked toward the door, my chest felt tight, like I was standing on the edge of something deep and dark. Whatever she was hiding, I knew one thing for sure. 7 years ago, I thought I lost everything because of a will. But standing there now, I felt like the real truth was still waiting. And it was going to hurt far more than I was ready for. The door to the farmhouse opened with a slow creak. The sound felt loud in the quiet afternoon, like it was announcing something I wasn't ready to hear. The inside smelled of old wood, soap, and something warm, like a place that had been lived in, not just survived. I stepped inside behind Sarah. The house was simple. A small table near the window. 2 chairs, not one. A few drawings were taped to the wall, stick figures, a sun in the corner, uneven lines made by a small hand. I noticed them, but my mind didn't fully understand yet. Then I heard it. Soft footsteps. I turned. A little boy stood in the hallway, holding a toy car in his hand. He looked at me with curious eyes, unsure but calm. His hair was dark. His face was familiar in a way that made my breath catch. He tilted his head slightly, studying me. Mom, he asked. That word hit me harder than any shout ever could. Sarah froze beside me. My chest tightened. My heart began to pound so loud I thought the boy might hear it. I took a small step forward without realizing it. How old is he? I asked, my voice barely working. Sarah didn't answer right away. She walked past me, knelt in front of the boy, and placed her hands gently on his shoulders. Go play in your room for a little while, she said softly. I'll come get you soon. The boy looked at me once more. His eyes lingered on my face, like he was trying to recognize something. Then he nodded and walked away, his footsteps fading down the hall. The moment he disappeared, the room felt too small. I turned to Sarah slowly. Tell me, I said. Now. Her shoulders shook. She pressed her hand to her mouth, trying to hold herself together. He's 7, she whispered. The number landed between us like a heavy stone. 7 years. My knees felt weak. I grabbed the back of a chair to steady myself. He's mine, I said. It wasn't a question. Tears rolled down her face. Yes. The truth filled every corner of the room. It explained the silence, the lies, the weight she carried, the part of my life that had been taken without my knowing. I found out after you left, she said through her tears. A few weeks after. My head spun. Why didn't you tell me? I tried, she said quickly. I swear I did. I called. I wrote letters. I shook my head. I never got anything. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. Because your mother came to see me. My heart sank. She told me you were done, Sarah continued. That you never wanted to hear from me again. She said the baby would only ruin your future. She said you had already chosen your brother, your life away from here. Anger rose inside me, hot and sharp. She lied, I said. Yes, Sarah replied. But at the time, I didn't know that. I was scared, alone, and she promised to help me if I stayed quiet. I let out a bitter laugh. Help you how? She said she'd make sure we were taken care of, Sarah said. But she never did. Not really. I thought of my mother's cold eyes, her control, her need to decide who mattered and who didn't. Leaving everything to my brother wasn't just about money. It was about power. She stole this from me, I said, my voice shaking. She stole my son. Sarah nodded. And she stole a father from him. The weight of that broke something inside me. I sank into the chair, my hands covering my face. For years, I thought I lost everything because of a will. But this was worse. This was a life I never got to live. I would have stayed, I said quietly. I would have fought. I know, Sarah whispered. Silence fell again, but it wasn't empty. It was full of grief. After a moment, I stood up. I walked toward the hallway, stopping just before the boy's door. I could hear him humming to himself, pushing his toy car across the floor. My son. I didn't go in. Not yet. Instead, I turned back to Sarah. I'm done letting her control my life, I said. I'm done being erased. She looked at me with fear and hope mixed together. What are you going to do? I thought about my brother, living comfortably in a house he didn't earn. I thought about my mother, satisfied with her choices. I thought about how cutting ties once had only protected them, not me. I'm not taking revenge with anger, I said. I'm taking it with truth. I pulled out my phone and began deleting numbers. My mother's. My brother's. Every tie that connected me to the lie they built. I don't want their money, I continued. I don't want their approval. I looked toward the hallway again. I want him. Tears filled Sarah's eyes, but this time they were different. Lighter. He needs his father, she said. And I need my son, I replied. Later, when the sun was low and the light turned golden, the boy came back into the room. He stood close to Sarah, holding her hand. This is, she paused, then looked at me. This is your father. The boy looked up at me. You are. I knelt down so we were at the same level. My heart felt like it might burst. Yes, I said gently. If you want me to be. He studied my face for a long moment. Then he smiled. A small, easy smile. Okay, he said. In that moment, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness. Not peace. But purpose. I didn't need my mother's will. I didn't need my brother's approval. I walked away from the family that betrayed me, and chose the family they tried to hide from me. That was my revenge.